Sean Alexander. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm currently playing with JoJo Knight, New Kids on the Block.
How'd you get involved in playing keyboards?
It's just been a passion since I was young, just growing up and just being around music. So I was self-taught at the age of 4, and I just been like doing it ever since, just learning different things, aspects of music, just going to school for stuff, and like it's just been a whole learning experience the whole way.
When you were saying you were self-taught, did you start off with piano, or is that your main instrument, or?
Yeah, started off on piano. I had like a little mini keyboard when I was young, so I just like everything I heard on the radio, so I would kind of mimic it on the piano and just like learn it. So that's how I learned to play by ear.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Berklee College of Music in Boston.
And what did you study?
I was studying music synthesis.
What do you like about synthesizers, music synthesis?
The whole aspect of sound design and just creating something from scratch, and just endless possibilities of what a sound could be, like just like the shapes and stuff of a sound. There's so much characteristics of just like a synthesizer versus just playing a regular piano. You're just gonna get one sound out of it. But when it's like a synthesizer, it's such an array of sounds. It's like there's so much possibilities, and it's just really up to your own imagination. So,
what kind of keyboards did they use at Berklee for you to study on?
They had like chord tritons and stuff that they really have in just like a lot of studios. And it's like the practice. They have like chord, like digital pianos and stuff like that. And then some of the practice facilities, they just have like upright pianos and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's just like any other keyboard is like you gotta either just like go to the music store and try it out, or it's just like. But with music science department, it's like they actually have like a whole room full of keyboards. So it's like depending on a project you want, it's like you can actually sign out a keyboard and just mess around with it and stuff like that. So that was pretty dope.
What kind of keyboards did they have in that room?
They had everything from like old school like Yamaha DX7s, like Roland JP 8000s. You got like the OB8s, like Waldorf. Is like a whole like vintage gear, like Moog keyboards, and like even like sound modules too. Like there's a whole bunch of rack of stuff. Just like be like all chilling on the wall, and so it's like yeah, I want that one. It's like you have so many options to pick from. So yeah, that's what was like dope about that.
So of all those, did you like the JP8000 the best, or the Moog the best? Which one?
I've actually grown to like the JP8000, and to this day, I'm still working on getting one. One of the bass players for artists I play for now, he always brought his on the tour, and he let me fool around with it. And it's just like, everything's so hands-on, like the controls, and it's like the sounds in it is just dope already. So it's like some stuff you don't even need to tweak. It's like you can build a song off of one patch because it's so crazy. You got like arpeggios, kind of different stuff going. It's like an idea you can basically base around a sound the way it is, just pre-start. It's always good to like program sounds too, but it's just like with the JP, it's like all the sounds in there is just like so warm. It's just like dope.
Now tell me about your keyboard rig right now that you're using.
For my keyboard rig, I have a Phantom G7, a Roland SH201, v-synth, the original, the Roland Gaia. I have a couple of like modules like the MKS20 EP rack and JV1080, and most recently Lucina.
Describe your playing style with all those keyboards. That's a pretty big rig, so...
Yeah, I like playing more than just 2 keyboards on a gig just because it's fun. Each keyboard has its own characteristic, it has its own sound. So it's like I don't want to be stuck with one keyboard to get the sound I need, trying to match something else, when it's just like you have another keyboard, and it's just like you can get the sound out of that and whatnot. But it's dope at times, just using maybe 2 boards because you get stack and split sounds between the keyboard, but it's just like, as far as my rig is like everything, I'll be using keyboard for like bells. I'll use one for effects. I'll play key bass on one board, and I'll play like over the synth, like brass patches, string patches, orchestra hits, and like our phantom like effects and stuff, like sweeps, orchestra hits, all that stuff.
Cool.
And so it's like a lot of times my hands are full doing something, but it actually helps you think, and it works on your independence as well. So that's what's really dope about that.
How does the Gaia compare to the JP8000?
I would say that they took a lot of features of the JP and definitely incorporated into the Gaia, especially with like the sounds, especially for the bass patches. I would say for the Gaia is really, really warm and like beefy, like some of the bass patches that's in there. And like when it comes to the JP8000, like especially like some sub basses, like a lot of basses in that really like real round, and you get like a good deep dark tone when it comes to like bass patches and that. And even like the synth leads and stuff like that is like it's really bright and like have a lot of attack. And it's like, of course, you like different waveforms, you could create your own patches and stuff like that. But it's just the fact that it's just such a warm keyboard, and it's so versatile when you can actually split sounds in between the keyboard and you can layer sounds together. So it's like endless like possibilities and combinations. And one of my like favorite features would be like tap tempo, because a lot of times I'll be playing something instead of like having to play like the whole chord or whatever. I can be creative and know how arpeggio going and just use the tap tempo to sync it, like with the tempo of like the song. And it's just like it gives a whole different vibe. Just instead of playing like crazy lines and stuff like that, it's like you can actually just hold one note and just like it's a whole bunch of different arpeggios to choose from. And it's just like it's like so much variety when it comes to that.
You were on the show Making the Band, correct?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How'd you?
Making his band, it was basically making the band for musicians to work with Diddy. And so that experience, it just allowed me to meet different people and network with different musicians from all around the globe. And then you got people, the judges on the show that actually, they're vets in the industry and actually work with a lot of top artists, and you're learning basically the tools, how to like perform and how to prepare for a tour. And it's like, when it comes to like physically playing and just mentally maintaining and knowing what to do, what not to do, is like it basically teach you how to really be professional on a tour or just any gig. Like it doesn't even have to be like a major like tour or whatever. Even if it's just like a gig, it shows you how to be more professional on a gig, how to basically the do's and the don'ts, basically. And so that was definitely a great exposure, and it led to a lot of different opportunities. And so I was just grateful to be a part of that.
Who did you play with prior to playing with Jordan?
Prior to playing with Jordan, I'm still currently with him. His name is Pastor John P. Key, based out of Charlotte. Like very, very big like gospel icon. His son Chris, actually I met on the show, on Make His Band show. That's another way, I actually got in tune with that. And so it's like we developed a relationship on the show. And so he had called me to do the gig, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So we've been doing that for like 2-3 years now.
What do you have coming up in the future?
Coming up in the future right now, we're getting ready to go back out with Pastor Key. We got a tour coming up next month, as well as something in October. And with Jordan Knight, we got a tour in Canada coming up at the beginning of January. Around like January or so. So we're looking at a tour in Canada as well as a US tour probably sometime after. But we're still figuring everything out.
On Jordan's show, do you program your own sounds?
Yeah, a lot of times sometimes I wouldn't have to, because like the keyboards I'm using, everything is there. But a lot of times I do have to program, especially for like certain songs. There's like you have to have a string pad here, and you have to just all of a sudden stop playing piano or Rhodes or whatever. Even though I'm an auxiliary player, me and the other keyboard player, we like switch off on some stuff depending on what song it is. But it's like programming is definitely a must come any gig, because matching the sounds of the record and actually playing the records, it's like you can't have a record that has a harpsichord and you're playing a Fender Rhodes. Like, that's not gonna work.
Right.
You know. Yeah, it's like programming with Jordan has definitely been fun, because I would say one of my biggest dreams, even though I grew up as a gospel musician, definitely playing pop music because it's so energetic, and I'm an animated person on stage, and so I like dancing and just being everywhere, and so pop music gives you that energy and gives you that edge, and so like the sounds that I program for Jordan, for the keyboards and everything, it's just like massive, because it's such a big show. So it's like it's pop, so it's like it's pop. It has to be big and it has to hit.